everyone, this is Sarah, Painted Creator, and today I thought I might share with you the process of doing these looser background paintings. So I've got my Cotman watercolour paints ready, they're spritzed up. These are the Cotman paints that I use. I also have some Daniel Smith paints that I like and some Van Gogh paints, some extra bits and pieces, but these are my mainstay. Taped to my board just using ordinary decorator's masking tape. I have my Creative Peak cold pressed paper. It's 300 grams watercolour sheets, it's 100% cotton, a really good paper for anybody who's starting out currently, and I'm not on commission from Amazon, but currently these are on offer at Amazon for £16 for 64 sheets, so 2 of these packs, which makes each sheet around about 23p each, which is great value. I've also got my paper towel, I've got 2 big jars of water, I've got my medium mop brushes, and I will probably later on use some detailed brushes. This is just a number 1 round. I also have a squirter bottle. So this is an old Febreze bottle that with a trigger spray, and it does quite a big mist, a heavy mist, and my little mister bottle. So, oh, and the last little bit that I quite often use is my little piece of plastic card. This is a cut up old library card, but any piece of card will do. So let's get going. It's quite a fun process. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So I'm just loosely wetting my paper down with some clean water all the way down. So there's some areas that are wet and some areas that are dry at the moment. And I'm going to go in with some raw umber. And because of the amount of water on the page, you get some really nice blooms. And then I'm going to go in with some indigo. And then I'm going to mix some indigo and some burnt umber together for a bit of a more interesting dark. And some indigo. And you can already see that we've got some nice soft marks, but we're going to spritz the paper now just to help it get going and moving. And this is where you are just playing and tilting and seeing what comes out of the page. I love this sort of experimental time where the paint's just blending on the paper. Just want to encourage that to come down. get this hard line here, so I'm just going in for a little bit of a so I'm going in with just some clean water here, and that will just run down and create a bit of texture. Adding a little bit more indigo into this. Foreground puddle. So I'm sorry if it's making you feel a little bit dizzy, but whilst you've got your wash moving on your paper, this is what you just need to keep moving it and tilting it until you've got it to a point where you're happy. So I'm just waiting for this drip to come down. So at this point, you've got a wash that is quite settled. Just checking that we're on camera. We've got a wash that's quite settled. It's quite set on the paper. I'm just tilting the board so it's flat, and I'm just going to let that just settle into the paper for a little minute, and then I'm going to get my little, well, my big spritzer bottle. You can buy misters that have got different settings, and from a distance you need to just give it a spritz. And the water droplets, because it's a drying wash, start to burst out and create beautiful, beautiful patterns. I'm also going to get some of my trusty salt. Just on this foreground. Well, this is just table salt. And to use the salt, your wash has to be wet enough to take the salt, but not overly wet, because these may not work because it's a little bit too wet. It's quite experimental. So I'm going to just do some little mist up just to keep that salt activated, and hopefully that will work then. And these little tiny water droplets going into this drying wash create a really nice feel. So I'm going to just mix up that dark mixture, which is burnt umber and ultramarine. Sorry, burnt Umber and Indigo. I am sorry. And I'm just going to drop while the wash is wet, so it's quite a thick paint. I'm just dropping some distant bushes into this wet paint, just to start building a bit of information about the landscape. So you'll never ever recreate this again, because it's very dependent upon the water doing its thing. This is drying again, so I can go in with another spritz to get that really nice mottled sky. And my salt's working beautifully here for the foreground. So this burnt umber and indigo wash. Just put in with my sword liner brush. You could use a rigger, some foreground distant reeds in. So this will soften into that wash at the back, and then you have harder lines at the front. I'm just disturbing the wash here a little bit. So I've got a puddle here. I'm just going to soak it up with my damp brush now. A little bit of a thirsty brush, just to bring a little bit of light across here. I'm going to go back into this sky area with my spritzer bottle. You're not wanting too much information at this point. You're just trying to define some of what's there in the landscape. So I'm going to make this a little bit darker, just to try and define some of those bushes and trees that have sort of popped up. Because it's damp, it will still soften and diffuse. I'm trying my best not to disturb too much what's going on. because I'm letting the paint do its thing basically. And these run backs that you get because of the spritzing into the drying wash, I think are beautiful. Just going to use my little mister bottle. And you can do as little or as much as you want. I personally like how this light's been maintained as well. Keeps it loose, it keeps it exciting. Just going to drag some burnt sienna through that wash there, just to join the two up. And then of course you can splat into there, you can do whatever you want. So I'm taking my little card and I'm just going to scrape some reeds into this drying wash now, trying to remember to go into different directions and wipe it off, and then I'll just put a couple down here as well. So this wash is drying, I can go back in again. It's a lovely way of creating very moody skies. So I've mixed some burnt umber and some indigo together, and I'm just going to go back over some of these reeds and things in this foreground. Just using my sword liner brush. It's still damp, so you will get that sort of sense of merging and softening lines, which is so beautiful in watercolour, but it helps make that little bit of a frame. So you can see that the salt's working beautifully here. Having it flat really helps. And I love this sort of light and pattern that comes into the sky. So I'm going to press pause now, because I'll probably just spritz a little bit more into that drying wash as it comes, but I'm going to let it dry naturally. Letting it dry naturally is really helpful. If you've got it to a point where you think, actually that's exactly where I want it, then dry it off with a hairdryer gently with a medium heat and a medium blow. But if you're just watching it and you're just letting the salt work and everything develop, just give yourself that time. It's nice just to spritz in and see what happens. little spritz and a little dabble of the big brown, and we'll see where we go. So we're drying. I think I've got to the point where I'm going to leave this to dry. A little puddle came here, so I was able to use it to cover this harsh line there that I didn't like. I don't mind these here. Feels like you're getting like a vinaigrette of the space. So I'm going to put the hairdryer on now and dry it fully. I might just do one last little spritz. I do love it. So here we are, we're back. And this is the point where I can rub off that salt that's not dissolved and see what we've got left. And I love this. This is beautiful to me by itself, but we can enhance the reeds if you want. Just put another layer of this, of the dark on. We'll just bring a little bit of foreground into that space. So I'm just using my sword liner brush. And that mix of burnt sienna and ultramarine. And if you just want to put some reed heads on. Obviously thicker paint brings more definition, it brings it further forward and just builds a little bit of definition into the reed bed. But I want it to be a supporting act, because I am going to put a bird on here. But if you just want to play with backgrounds, this is a great way of just creating some abstract landscapes. So if you're enjoying my content, please like and subscribe and encourage your friends to, and share what I'm doing. In the comments I will put a link to my selling shop, which I ship worldwide with, and I will also put a link to my Kofi account, because if you send me a Kofi link, a Kofi, then you will get a link to the video of the month, and this month it's the hair that I did. I look forward to hearing from you. Please do comment if you've enjoyed this and you want more of this, or if you want something different, let me know. Have a lovely day wherever you are. See you soon. Bye.